question when it comes up.
I know, that was printed on the website.
Certain accounts.
No, somebody from the board's gonna say.
I should have brought my laptop.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'll call the meeting to order at 5:59. We'll begin by having the pledge of allegiance. Austin, if you will.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So quick, you get used to it being over here, huh?
Keep moving around.
Okay, we'll move right into the public hearing portion of the meeting. And we're here to go over the proposed MS 636 budget and the proposed warrant articles for our town meeting in March. So we'll begin with the MS 636 form. I think there were copies. You didn't have one. This is the budget and revenue side of the equation. So if you go to page 2 of 10, okay, the significant change to the first section, which is general government subtotal, from 315,000 to 394,000. There were 4 things that basically affected that total. The election registration and vital stats is an increase of 22,000, and that's because we have 3 elections this year versus 1 last year. Then we have property assessment. We got to get a fireproof file cabinet for them. Legal expenses went up 5,000. That's primarily in the area of planning. And then going down a little further, general government buildings. That's an increase of 23. 20 of that is in the form of air conditioning for this building. What we're anticipating would be some mini splits. So it'll work 2 ways. It'll work heating and air conditioning both. But in the summertime here, it gets pretty tough. Okay, any questions on the government subtotal, general government subtotal? Frank?
Frank,
Please, yep, please stand and.
Frank Fraser, Lyford Road. Excuse me. I notice on what is line 4140, 4100, the town clerk wages, that went up significantly. Is that something we vote on? Did we vote a raise for the town clerk, or?
No, that's something that the selectmen decide on salaries for elected officials and town officials. It was a decision made by the selectmen.
If the elected officials, I thought the town meeting had to decide on raises.
For decades, I agree with you, Frank. And then last year, we found out that the selectmen can change the elected officials' salaries as long as we're clear about it and make sure people understand that.
Okay, so, and I'm not commenting on the raise. Is a significant raise for the town clerk, and she's now working a significant more number of hours than we used to have in the town. So, but that's part of the big jump in that section, in that under election registration and vital statistics in the 4140 category. So that's one of the big jumps that happened. So I think that was the only one I had on that one. Yep.
Any other questions in that section? Move on to public safety. There's a $60,000 increase in the Wakefield police, fire, ambulance, that whole section, and the services we receive from Wakefield. The others are a little bit of a drop in building inspection and a little drop in emergency management.
Hey, Ed,
Yes.
Jan Ledbetter, Wentworth Road. Does the town of Wakefield break out police, ambulance, fire? Or do you just get one lump sum number?
It's broken out.
It is broken out.
It is broken out, so we just combine it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And was the increase because of the EMT, or was it fire, or can you say which category?
I don't, but I can, I'll pull it. I'll pull
Okay,
it.
that's, yeah.
We pay a percent of the Wakefield budget. We, based upon population. And we're paying 12% of their budget.
Oh, did you say we were paying and it
We
went up?
are paying,
Or
this
we
year
are
we're paying
12?
12%, last year it was 13%. Their population grew a little faster than ours.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions there? All right, the next section, down at the bottom, highways and streets. That went up 5,000. We had a new winter contract that we signed this year. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as last year. Any questions on that? Let's go to page 3 at the top. We got sanitation. One of the few times you may ever see this, but the proposal that we got from Wakefield actually went down by about $11,000. That's on the transfer station. Any questions there?
Is that due to the fact that they had a really cool way to crush the... No, really, I mean, they spent a lot of capital to do that. So I'm just curious if part of the savings is being passed along to us.
I really couldn't tell you. I don't know the details of how they came up with that budget. And generally, if it's less, I'm not going to question it anyway.
I have a question, and it's kind of, Gus Stratton, but right, Wentworth Road. Anyway, I have a question sort of in general. When we get these expenditures and these increases, do we ever examine the details as to why they're increased? What does that increase encompass? Because it seems like, you know, for a small town, our budget is pretty high, I would think. I just don't know what measures you guys go through to sort of make those increases accountable.
Well, I have not been invited to any of the discussions, nor have I asked to attend any of the discussions on their budget. So, I don't know, Rich, in your experience, if you...
Now, it goes through, they're an SB2 town, so it's discussed in detail by that community. And when they settle on a number, the contract that we have with them says we pay 8% based upon population. Now, we do a reasonableness check. How much would it cost us to run a sanitary facility? Could we get by for $100,000? Could we get by for a fire department for the numbers they're charging us? How about a police department? Could we afford our own police department? So we ask ourselves those questions all the time. Are we getting reasonable value? And could we afford to do it ourselves? We were doing a pretty detailed analysis on the landfill, a transfer station. And it came down to $11,000. It's more difficult for us to even think about having our own.
Yes.
These are our share of the Wakefield.
Yeah.
Okay, the question was asked of the breakdown of the Wakefield fire and safety. The public safety portion is 322. Ambulance is 157. And solid waste, you said, is 104.
We pursued bringing an ambulance service into town, a commercial one. To sign a contract, this is 5 years old. To sign a contract, they wanted $100,000 right out of the bat. And then they would charge the town for each call. That's like Stewart Ambulance Service, one of those commercial ones. $100,000 to sign the contract 5 years ago. And then you look at the number we're getting here.
We're even paying 12% of their capital reserve, the money that they're putting into the capital reserve for the cruiser, the ambulance, the fire truck. We're paying 12% of what they're putting away on the capital reserve.
Which amounts to what?
They're putting away 287,000 and we're paying 40,000 of that.
Any other questions? Okay, on page 3, the rest of that page. Was essentially level funding, nothing changed from the year before. Page 4. Library has gone up 4,000 from the previous year. If you recall, 2 years ago, they wanted 16, that's what we appropriated. Last year, they wanted 18, but we stayed with the 16. This year, they asked for 20, and we're going along with their request for 20. The next section under conservation development, essentially level funding. At the bottom of the page, capital outlays. We're changing. Okay, the capital outlay looks like a $125,000 increase from the previous year. That was based on funding for the Moose Mountain Bridge. And we've decided to modify that. And we're going to leave it at 75. Now we're going to take that.
We're doing it a little differently now.
We're going to end up bonding the work on the bridge. And you'll see when we get to the warrant articles, we're going to take $207,000 out of the existing trust funds and use it for the design, permitting, bid package work on the front end. We'll expend that money in 2026. Based on what we find there, we'll then decide on whether or not to go forward in 27 with raising and appropriating from the general tax base or presenting a bond. And I suspect that it'll end up being bonded. It's going to be about $500,000 or so to do the repair. Even if we spread that over 2 years, that's $250,000 a year. So if we bond it, go 10 years, it's roughly $50,000 a year. That's a much easier tax bill to swallow than the full amount, 2 years.
So, do you want to talk about bridges now or later?
We're going to get to them on the warrants.
Can I wait?
You talking specifically the Moose Mountain Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be on the warrants.
So on this capital outlay, what is the number for improvements other than buildings?
To do that, we're going to go to the capital outlay for improvements other than buildings. That number's going to go to 0.
Well, we're still putting 10,000 away for the capital outlay, 10,000. Those are going to be changes that we did in the warrant articles.
I'm comparing it to the revised MS 636, so whether or not it's in this line or another line.
Sorry, Jan, could you say that one more time, Ed? Capital outlay is going to go
Okay,
to...
on the bottom of page 4,
Yes,
improvements other than buildings
yes,
in the capital outlay.
yes,
What we posted was $200,000.
yes,
We're going to take that to 0.
okay,
Okay, and it'll be done as a special warrant article
okay.
to withdraw it from a trust fund.
How much do we have in our trust fund?
Altogether, between the two on the bridge, if you want to talk specifically the bridge,
No, just in total.
Total, we have about there are very different buckets.
There's
Capital,
3 different buckets.
okay, capital reserves, we have about $495,000. Common fund, which is specific items, $78,000. And I don't have the cemetery number with me right now, but that's
So what I
about
have-
64. But that's, yeah, can't be touched.
and of the 495, if the warrants pass, 207 of that will come out. If the
All right.
warrants pass.
Gotcha.
All right, go to page 5. And on the bottom line, total operating budget, we posted $1,781,282. With the changes that we just discussed, that number's gonna go to $1,581,282. So that's the $200,000 we just talked about taking out. Go to the next page.
That's the town budget for expenditures. That's the number we're gonna plan to spend. Go ahead, now go to your next page.
All right, and the next page is the special warrants. When this draft went up and was posted, we really hadn't had the numbers in very good shape for the warrants. We have since done that, and we're gonna talk about those a little later on. But that number will get filled in based on what we talked about in the warrants. So if you go to page 8, this is the revenue side of the equation. So on taxes, from 33,101 to 25. So we're dropping a little bit on the land use fund and the tax yield funds. Those are random guesses, right, based on some logic and history. They can vary, you don't know what they're gonna be. Motor vehicle permits, we carried 200,000 last year, we're gonna carry that forward again this year. Same with other licensing and permit fees, that's level funding from the previous year. To the bottom of the page, under state sources, we're proposing a $10,000 increase in the meals and rooms tax. That's why you see the bottom line going from 95 last year to 105. Mr. Frazier?
Yeah, I'm just curious, with if the law continues to be with the no inspection permits, will that affect our motor vehicle revenue line at all, or is that just registration's not the sticker? I don't know.
That's just the sticker, it doesn't affect the
Okay.
registration. We haven't,
So whether that law actually goes in effect or not, probably won't have an effect on that line.
we're not anticipating anything. Any other questions there?
It's in effect, just for clarity. It's the law. You don't have to have an inspection.
Yes.
All right, let's go to page 9. All right, in the middle of the page, miscellaneous revenue. We got interest on investments. Last year we said 30, this year we're going with 15 again. Depends on what the market bears, where the investments are held, how long they're held for. It's a huge variable. Continue down to interfund operating transfers in. Last year was 93, this year is 207. And that's going to be for the 2 bridge funds that I talked about earlier, and those are in the warrants that we'll discuss further. One of the bridge funds has a balance of roughly 62,000, The other one has a balance of 145,000. That's where we came up with the 207. So total estimated revenues at the bottom of page 9. Last year, we budgeted 462. This year, we're budgeting 567. And again, that's largely because of the money we're going to withdraw from the capital reserve fund.
And that'll be, adding those pink and white, that'll be 563, because it's, or 564, because the 210 is really 207.
Okay, did I said that one?
564.
Okay. All right, page 10. Oh, go ahead, sir. Please,
So
name.
what happens, David Goddardaro, 78 East Lane? What happens if you get more revenue, for instance, motor vehicle permit fees? Where does that go? Because you guys don't show an actual for 2025, you're just showing an estimate. So were you over or under last year on your revenues based on estimate or over?
We're at 205,000 revenue
For last year?
for this 2025.
And was that your,
We estimated 200. We took in 205.
you're talking about just for motor vehicle permit fee? Well, what about total? So last, like it says, you estimate 462, what would be total for revenues in '25?
Oh, for 2025. I haven't completely finalized yet, but it's 433,332 right now.
So you're under projection?
A little bit, yeah. And I think that was probably because of probably the state, the highway block money. And we were less on land use taxes. That was a big decrease, the land use taxes. We only took in 7,350. We estimated 20, so there's some there.
But to answer your question about how do you make those adjustments if it's more or less, at the end of the year, we submit all of our expenses to the Department of Revenue. They have all of the income finalized. Right now, we're budgeting. They have it finalized. We know exactly what we're going to get for rooms and meals, etc. They then do the math of what you said you're going to expend versus revenue that you earned through all of these other categories. And then they come out with the balance that has to be raised through taxation. And that's what we use to set the tax rate.
So if you have an overage, does the board have the ability to spend that overage? So say this year we said $230,000 in vehicle revenue. That extra $30,000, is that, what happens to that? Or
That gets calculated in what we have to raise from the taxes. So in other words, it'll go in to offset what we have to raise from taxes.
Gotcha. So this year, if we were short $30,000 on revenue, that rolls into the tax base for this year.
Yes.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
We can't spend any more than the town approves on the 636. So if there's a major windfall, it's okay, we just can't spend that money. It's what we put on this document and give to the state is what we're bound by.
Per line item or in aggregate?
Bottom line.
Aggregates, we can move, the selectmen can, as long as there's a line item that has some money in it, the selectmen can move money from one line item to another one, but the bottom line cannot be exceeded.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Okay, what that means then on page 10, the bottom line that you see on the posted budget is $1,213,731. With the changes that we've just talked, it'll go to $1,302,731. And it's largely going to be due to the total appropriations, the special warrants. If the special warrants that we're going to talk about go through, that's essentially $286,000. That's the bulk of where the increase comes from. If they don't go through, there'll be a different number, significantly lower. Okay, so budget and revenues. Are there any other questions? Sure. Please give your name.
Oh, Jeff Dugas, Carney Road. Do you have the number for 2025, the final number?
Not yet. We haven't closed our books yet.
Okay, so there's no way to compare them.
Well, we have about
We have about 200,000.
150, 200,000.
Left over from our budget.
Underspent this year.
Any other questions? All right.
When
Go
will
ahead.
the final numbers be ready from 2025?
When will they be ready? I hope to close before the by the next board meeting. We should be closed. The auditors are coming the end of the month, so we have to be closed, and we still have some bills coming in for December that we want to take care of.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, let's move on to the warrants. Okay, this has not been a stagnant process. All right, we posted draft warrants dated 12/18/25. That's what we're going to work on, that's what we'll discuss. Okay, what I'll do is I'll read the warrant. We'll go through all of them. Technically, we only need to address here in the public hearing those that involve money. So if it's language, we really don't have to talk about it, but I'm going to put it out there and see if you have any questions. We can try to address those as well. So Article 8.
You might want to talk about why they're changing, why they changed. We draft them, we send them to the attorney, and then we send them to DRA for their approval. And each organization gives us feedback on how to make them clear, acceptable, and legal, thank you. So that's why there's been some changes. The bottom line, the purpose hasn't changed, but the wording has changed. So, I'm sorry.
Yep, no, that's a good point. Okay, the first one is going to be on the supervisors of the checklist, Article 8. To see if the town, by the way, when I say these numbers, they are subject to change. When we finally get all of the articles from the planning board rolled in, the numberings, they'll be sequential numbers. So what we got posted is Article 8. See if the town will vote to modify the term of the elected supervisors of the checklist from 6 years to 3 years per RSA 41:6-A. The change will be effective when the next existing term expires in 2008. A 3-year term will be on the election ballot in 2008 and yearly beginning in 2030. Majority vote required. Okay. We're not making any changes to that. So, everybody understand what we're doing? And this is requested by the supervisor of the checklist. Next one is the Gaffney Library Rep. To see if the town will vote to amend the term of office for the town of Brookfield trustee of the Gaffney Board of Trustees from a 1-year term to a 3-year term, so that it aligns with the recently revised Gaffney Library Trustees bylaws. Majority vote required. All right. Again, no change on that. We're changing the length of the term for the elected official from 1 year to 3 years. Next one, Article 10. See if the town will vote in accordance with RSA 72:27 to modify the provisions of RSA 72:35, tax credit for service-connected total disability. Previously adopted for an optional tax credit of $1,650 for a service-connected total and permanent disability. If approved, this article shall take effect for the final 2026 property tax bill. majority vote required. You want to speak them all, or you want me to read off them all? I'll read them. All right, we want to change the language on this, and it will now read, shall the town modify the provisions of RSA 7235 for an optional tax credit of $1,650 for a service-connected total disability from $1,400 to $1,650. This tax credit shall replace the Veterans Tax Credit, the All Veterans Tax Credit, the Optional Tax Credit for combat service, and the tax credit for certain disabled veterans, and shall not be in addition thereto. If approved, this article shall take effect for the final 2026 property tax bill, majority vote required. And this is recommendations between our DRA and our legal counsel.
So this year, the state changed the rules on veterans credits. You can't accumulate them or put one on top of the other. So today, some of our people with total disabilities were getting $1,650 because they were getting $1,400 plus $250. This change says you get $1,650, and you stay whole. You don't lose any money, and that's the purpose of this. We have 5 veterans in that case that will benefit from that.
Any questions? Okay, next we'll go to elderly exemptions, Article 11. Okay, what we posted, shall the town, under the provisions of RSA 7230:39, modify the conditions for elderly exemption income limits to be eligible to participate in this program from $50,000 to $75,000 for single persons, and for married persons from $60,000 to $90,000. Majority vote required. Right, I'm going to also talk to Article 12, because you see the change took these 2 articles that we proposed and put them into one. So I'll move into Article 12. Shall the town, under the provisions of 72:39, modification of elderly exemption, increase the property value exemption for the following age groups? Age group 75 to 79, currently $45,000, modified to $65,000. And for the age group 80 plus, currently $60,000, modified to $80,000. Majority vote required. Based on input, again, from DRA and council, those 2 are combined into one warrant now. And it'll read, shall the town modify the provisions of RSA 72:39-A for elderly exemption from property tax in the town of Brookfield based on assessed value for qualified taxpayers to be as follows. A person 65 years of age up to 75, the exemption will remain $50,000. For a person 75 years of age up to 80 years of age, from $45,000 to $65,000. For a person 80 years of age or older, from $60,000 to $80,000. To qualify, the person must have been a New Hampshire resident for at least 3 consecutive years, own the real estate individually or jointly, or if the real estate is owned by such person's spouse, they must have been married to each other for at least 5 consecutive years. In addition, the taxpayer must have a net income of not more than $75,000. It's an increase from $50,000. Or if married, a combined net income of not more than $90,000, which is an increase from $60,000. And own assets not in excess of $75,000, excluding the value of the person's residence. Majority vote required.
Jan, yes?
Jan, Ledbetter, Wentworth Road. So we voted on this at last year's meeting?
Yeah, let me try.
Okay,
So we voted on this last year's meeting,
yeah.
but the wording wasn't correct. So
Oh.
DRA said, what you did is incorrect. You can get partial relief, but not complete relief. That's why we had to review what DRA before we got to this point this year. They say what we have today is good.
Okay.
So last year, what we did is we raised the exemption for people on the lowest tier, that would be the 65 to 70. We went to $50,000 exemption on the assessed value of their property, on the assessed value of their property. So if the tax rate is $10 and you take off $50,000 worth of assessed value, you get a $500 tax break on your tax bill for the year. So that was for the 65 to 70. Then you go to 75 to 79, and we're proposing that it goes from, and this is where we messed up last year. We're proposing it goes from, hard for me to see, from 45 to 65. And likewise for the older group, it goes from
60 to 80.
60 to 80. Okay, so how many people, today, how many people do we have in these categories? The lowest band, we have 3 people participating. The second band, we have 1 person participating. And no one's participating in the upper band, so we have 4 people participating. If this goes through, we'd expect that number to change, right? Because now we're saying you can have more income and more, well, assets?
Yes.
And more assets, still participate. But again, we're talking assessed value on the property, not just a change to your tax bill as such. So we recommend that. And it's for the people in town that are, you heard the requirements, if you're elderly and you don't have a lot of income and you don't have much in the bank and you own the house with 2 acres and everything after the 2 acres counts as an asset. So if you meet those qualifications and this passes, you get some relief on your tax bill.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a note. The age brackets need to be adjusted just a little, so it's 65 to 74 and then 75 to 80.
Well, we don't have to adjust it because it says up to 75.
Okay, but that would also put the person in the next
yet.
bracket though,
No, that's the way it was,
right?
that's the way it was written.
Okay.
You could say 65 to 74, or you could say 65 up to 75. It means the same thing. And this is what DRA said will work. Given what's happened in the past, I don't want to buck the system, so to speak. Okay, any other questions there? Okay, so that takes care of 11 and 12. Go back to what was posted. And go to what is Article 13.
Yeah, it's not clear.
Okay, Article 13. To see if the town will vote to establish a common expendable private graveyard trust fund for RSA 31:19-A for the purpose of maintaining any existing private graveyard in the town of Brookfield that does not currently have an existing trust fund. This fund shall be funded completely from private donations plus any earnings and interest from investments. Said fund should be administered by the Brookfield Cemetery trustees to approve projects and as agents to expend both principal and income. Majority vote required. We looked into this with DRA, and DRA said you can't legally do that. What they recommended is that we talk to the Department of Justice and look at doing a charitable trust fund. And at that point, we decided that it was too complicated, and we're just going to eliminate this. We're not going to propose this as a warrant article at the town meeting. Any questions? Okay, let's go to the next one. Discontinue Moose Mountain Capital Reserve Fund 1 Bridge Trust Fund.
You missed one.
Parks and Rec. The Parks.
Parks and Rec.
Oops, I skipped over that. Yep, thank you. Okay. Article 14. To see if the town will vote to discontinue the Parks and Recs Equipment Capital Reserve Fund created in 1991, warrant article number 15. Said fund and accumulated interest for date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the 2026 Brookfield General Fund. Majority vote required. We made a minor change to that. It would now read, to see if the town will vote to discontinue the Parks and Recs Equipment Capital Reserve Fund created in 1991, Article 15. That's the same. Change, the remaining balance, $7,700, plus interest to date of withdrawal, are to be transferred to the Brookfield, 2026 Brookfield General Fund. Majority vote required. So we put in an amount to that number and just modified the wording slightly. So essentially that trust fund has existed since 1991, hasn't been used. We don't see any plans in the near future to use it. So we want to put it into the general fund, which will go in the end to offset taxes for 2026.
So what was the original thought?
Sorry?
What was the original thought behind creating it and putting?
It was a park and recreation equipment fund. Frank, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, and you, Frank Fraser, Life Road, you might, when you presented at town meeting, you might want to give just a little bit of this. At one point, we were going to put a playground right out
That's a
here,
different
right
fund,
over
Frank.
there, right over here somewhere, right over there. And that was, one of our former selectmen, Clifton Camp, was very behind that. And that's when we put additional fund, even though the fund had been there for a long time, that was always the original purpose. But we found, and that's why we're currently paying $4,000 a year to Wolfboro, most of the parents in town were taking their, for Parks and Recs activities, were taking their kids to Wolfboro because they go to school over there, Carpenter School and all that stuff. And so it just never gained momentum. So at some point, a few years ago, the selectmen said, we're not going to build that playground. So the money's just been sitting there for a while.
Meg?
Hi, Meg Ingles, Pink and White. That's a different fund. There's a park committee fund, which I think you're talking about, which was for the playground.
Oh,
This is just parks and recreation equipment.
right, which I thought we were going to use for the playground.
The park committee fund was privately funded, no town money. This one is town money.
Right.
Any questions on that? Okay. Yes, Ed?
The 7,700, I think it was pink and white, the 7,700 number
Yes.
comes from where?
2024. December of 2024. Don't look at that number, that's 2020.
So, well, in 2025, there's 79.96 in there.
Right.
So there's still going to be $296, so you can't discontinue the
That's
fund.
plus
No,
interest and
Yeah,
it
we
says
can
plus
withdraw it
interest.
all, don't worry. We got it.
So when we close out, and
I
actually,
trustee too.
I don't know if we did a good job.
if we don't close it out until December of '26, it may be 70, it may be 8,000.
Yeah,
So there could be,
That's why you put it at what the known amount is plus interest.
right.
Okay, now we'll try to move on to the
Bridge.
Moose Mountain Capital Reserve Fund 1 Bridge Trust Fund. Okay, what we posted, see if the town will vote to discontinue the Moose Mountain Capital Reserve Fund 1 Bridge Capital Reserve Fund created by warrant article 18 on 3/15/2015 with an estimated value of $145,000, and to also discontinue Moose Mountain Capital Reserve Fund 2 Bridge created by warrant article 13 on 3/12/91 and renamed by warrant article 17 on 3/8/2016 with an estimated value of $62,000. Said funds plus interest to date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the Brookfield General Fund to be used specifically for the purpose of paying engineering and design services, permitting, bid document, construction follow-on services associated with the Moose Mountain Bridge repair effort. Majority vote required. All right, what the DRA has recommended is that we scratch that all together. make it 2 warrant articles. The change significance is that we're not going to discontinue those funds. Okay, we're essentially going to draw them down to $1,000 or $2,000. But the fund will remain open and active. Right? It's not going to be discontinued until after the bridge is done, then we can talk about discontinuing the funds. So, what warrant article is going to now read the first one. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $62,000 for the purpose of design and repair of the Moose Mountain Bridge, and to authorize the withdrawal of $62,000 from the Moose Mountain Capital Reserve Fund, created by warrant article 13 on 3/12/91 and renamed by warrant article 17 on 3/8/2016, with an estimated value of $62,000. Majority vote. So that's taken $62,000 out of the first bridge fund. Separate warrant article will be to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $145,000 for the purpose of design and repair of the Moose Mountain Bridge, and to authorize the withdrawal of $145,000 from the Moose Mountain Bridge Capital Reserve Fund, created by warrant article 18 on 3/15/2015, with an estimated value of $145,000, majority vote required. So we took the one article, broke it into 2. We're going to leave the articles, the funds in existence. We're going to take the money out, essentially bringing them to zero to pay for the design and bid package and permitting for the repairs of the Moose Mountain Bridge.
Again, at town meeting, when you present it, we have a lot of new residents in town, some of them are here tonight, who are not familiar with the now over 10-year saga. We've been trying to deal with that bridge for at least 10 years now, maybe even longer. And just to note that it is on the state's red list, it's been red listed, and I'm pretty sure it has not been, our insurance company dropped it a long time ago. So we've had no insurance on that bridge. It's been sitting there as a liability to the town for, I think, 10 years now. It's been a while. So this solution will hopefully, you don't have to go into the whole history, but there have been a couple attempts to repair it. They didn't pan out. And now this plan is to engineer it and replace it, right?
That is correct.
So to finally get done with it. But it's something the town has been dealing with for a very long time. And you might just, when we get to town meeting, you might want to just spend a minute or two, because there'll probably be a lot of people in the audience that don't know the saga of that particular bridge.
Yep.
Yeah,
Marshall Goldberg.
Marshall Goldberg, thank you. Chris, would you be so kind, as our road agent, to explain from when you got involved in this to where we are, so we understand. I don't even understand what, we have all this money, we expect it to cost a lot. Is it 800,000, is it, so if you could just give a little context, if you wouldn't mind, that would be awesome.
Chris Kendall.
Chris Kendall, road agent. Met with an engineer, and just to correct one thing that Frank says, not to replace the bridge, it is to repair it. And add structure to the bridge where the water flows into it and flows out of it. We, through the help of SRPC, they got an engineer involved and did some preliminary work at no cost to the town. And then through that initial assessment, they were able to come up with a plan to repair the bridge, fix the problems that the state has identified, to put it on the red list, and come up with some budgetary numbers for the engineering, the design, the permitting, along with the bid process, and also oversight during the work. So that number is around 200,000. Started off a little below that. We've gone into another year with it, so it's gone up a little bit. And then we won't know the actual cost of the repairs until it goes out to bid. So that is just an estimate. It could be 500, 600, 700, it could be 300,000 if somebody wanted to bid a crazy low number. We don't know what that number is. So the point of the project is to get it off the red list so that it can be insured by the insurance company.
And also, like Chris alluded, is that the problem is not the superstructure, the road itself. That's in good shape. The problem is the underpinnings of it, the substructure. There's a big footing that is washing out around it. The size of the bridge, as water flows through, you get a river this wide and you put it through a funnel this wide, as it goes under the bridge, you're causing the speed to increase, turbulence, eddy currents, etc. And it's washing out the wing walls on the upstream and downstream side. So if you don't do something, it will not get better. There's only one way that can go, and that's to become worse and worse as time goes on. So we do have to do something to stop it before it ends up costing $2 million.
So who's going to manage that?
I'm sorry?
Who is going to manage that project? Who's responsible? Who's going to be?
That's part of the engineering number that we're talking about, the 207,000. That'll include an engineer to oversee the project and make sure it's done to their specifications.
In many cases, I can't speak now, but in many cases, the town will appoint someone to be the, quote, clerk of the works, if you will, that will stand by the bridge every day and make sure that they're doing things properly. And then he will act as the agent to feed back the update to the Board of Selectmen. It could be one of the Board of Selectmen. But typically what happens is somebody will be appointed and dedicated as the clerk of the works to watch over it, and as well as the engineering to answer engineering questions. Okay. Anything else? Christine?
I know the lawyers and the revenue people looked at it, but, and I understand the intent here. Ed Ingles, Comeau. Sorry. You are cleaning out the two funds except for $1,000 or whatever in each one. So why does the language say raise and appropriate? Hasn't that funds already been appropriated and deposited into said fund?
Yeah, you have to, again, you have to do that from the DRA standpoint. You're raising and appropriating money, but you're raising it from an existing fund. You're not raising it through taxation, but you still have to use that language to raise and appropriate.
I would make that clear at the town meeting.
Okay.
You always raise and appropriate. You can either deposit or withdraw. But it always, the warrant articles always start with the same phrase. But the verb after that is the important one, whether you're depositing or withdrawing.
It does say in there to be withdrawn from each capital reserve fund.
The word withdrawn is in there?
Yeah.
Well, this changed.
Yeah, authorize the withdrawal of $62,000.
Okay.
That's what it will be, you're right, Ed. It's not in the one that we posted, because at that point, we were going to dissolve the fund. Now it'll be to authorize the withdrawal of $62,000 from one, and then authorize the withdrawal of $145,000 from the other. So the new language will have withdrawal.
And there's another issue here, because when we're all done with this work from this engineering company, we have 3 years until the permits expire. So we're actually going to have to deal with the funding of that bridge in the future. And the numbers that we got from Bayer Engineering, who's the company out of Manchester that gave us the proposal, last year they said 400,000. So call it 500,000. It's a lot of money that we're going to have to spend to actually implement the design. And I think we're talking a bond, right? A bond for maybe 10 years, $50,000 a year bonded. That keeps the impact on the tax rate down, but that's the next step that we really have to take if we do the engineering work, because that expires.
And what Rich is talking about is why we decrease the operating budget by $200,000, because the initial thought was that we'll raise and appropriate that $400,000 over a 2-year period. You do 200 this year, 26, 227, and you can pay for the bridge. That ends up being a significant hit to the tax base. So we thought it more prudent to manage taxes and keep them as low as possible and still get the job done. All right, any question on those two?
But this year, it will only be the engineering fees that we're paying. We won't be doing any actual repairs
That's
in
correct.
'26.
That's correct. The idea is that it would take about nine months or so for the engineering to be completed and a bid process, a bid submitted. We would then receive bids, evaluate those, and the idea being by the end of '26, we will have made a decision on who to go with as a contractor. And work would begin in the spring or summer of '27.
And we have a good number. Now we have a good bonding number, so we know whether it's a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year bond to fund it.
Again, just a suggestion when we talk about it at a town meeting, that you use the term engineering and permitting, because we ran into a foul a few years ago. We thought we could fix it, but we ran into permit issues. So that's a big part of this, is getting it engineered so it gets through the state permitting process too. We were gonna pump a bunch of cement under it, and that didn't fly from a permitting point of view. So it's, the warrant article says that engineering and permitting, so just emphasize that that's a big part of projects like this.
Right. The original warrant did, and the proposed change, it simply says design and repair.
Okay.
So I will elaborate on that. It includes the design preparation, the bid package, permitting, and then some follow-on services. And the latest number we got from them was a little over 207.
207 and change, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any other questions on those two or that one warrant that's now split into two? Okay. Townhouse Repair Fund. This is a withdrawal. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for the purpose of implementing a phased approach to repair the poor acoustical qualities of the townhouse and authorize the withdrawal of $10,000 from the Townhouse Repair Capital Reserve Fund to be created by warrant number 27 on 3/11/15, majority vote required. We're not changing any of the language on that. That will remain as it was posted. Austin, you want to speak to that?
No.
Okay, are there any questions? All right, let's move on to the next. Deposit to the Townhouse Repair Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Townhouse Repair Capital Reserve Fund created by warrant article 27 on 3/11/2015, majority vote required. So essentially what we're doing is replenishing what we're taking out and maintaining that capital reserve fund. The idea being that it's going to be a phased approach to bring the acoustics down to an acceptable level. When we met with the engineers, they talked about several different things you could do, each one independent of the other, and each one had a different cost associated with it. So the 10,000, we're hoping, we don't have the final numbers yet, but we're hoping that will be enough to do what we can expect to get the greatest bang for the buck, whether it's hanging curtains over the windows, whether we're putting out these special acoustical tiles along the walls. We'll see. But the idea is if you do a phased approach, you can do something and then see how it works. If it's still not adequate, you can take the next step in the following year. Try it again. Until you get to a level where you say, that's good, we're not going to do any more.
And that report's been posted?
Yeah.
For people to look at on the website.
Okay, any other questions? 14 on the last page. And it's dealing with, oops, sorry, what is it? Deposit to the road and bridge fund. Okay, so we talked about the 2 Moose Mountain Bridge funds. Those were specific for the Moose Mountain Bridge. We also have a trust fund that's called Road and Bridge Repair. And those are generic to any road or bridge in the town of Brookfield, not specifically to Moose Mountain, although it could be used on Moose Mountain because it's open to any road or bridge in town. So what we propose to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be added to the Road and Bridge Repair Capital Reserve Fund created by warrant Article 11 on 3/12/1991. Majority vote required. Okay, the only thing that we're proposing to modify on that is replacing the word added, where it says appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be added to the Road and Bridge Fund. We're going to change that to the sum of $50,000 to be deposited to the Road and Bridge Fund. And again, that's coming as a recommendation from the Department of Revenue Administration at the state level.
Yeah, what?
So, Marshall?
Over. Yeah. What are we trying to achieve here?
I'm sorry, speak up.
Can you explain this in a little more detail for me?
I'm still not.
He doesn't understand why we're depositing money in this trust fund.
What's it for? Is it for
Right.
the bridge project? Is it for the roads? Is it?
It is for, if we had a washout due to a flood, and it completely took out an old galvanized culvert, we need to repair that. A culvert does qualify as a bridge as far as funding goes. It's those kinds of unexpected surprises.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with.
Nothing to do, it's not that we couldn't use it there.
No.
But it has nothing to do directly. I think couple of years ago, Chris, when you did the footbridge, was that taken out of this, or was that was done through raise and appropriate taxation?
Yeah, as far as I know, it was done through the regular road budget.
But that, if you're familiar with that on Tucker Road, the
Yeah.
footbridge, that would be another thing that could qualify. Right? If that got washed out.
I totally get it. Now you can explain.
David Gongaro, 70 Kate's Lane, how much is in that fund now?
About 158,000.
Right.
Yeah, just, in some years, we both put money in and take money out. This year, we're only gonna put money in just to build it. We went through a period of time a number of years ago where we had not invested in our roads very much, and we had to do a lot of rebuilding, and we were taking more than 50 and putting it in and stuff to build this back up, so we have it as a reserve, so. But this year, we're just building that reserve so it's there, right? Going forward. Yeah, so.
That is correct.
Some years, we both put 100 in and we take 100 out, some years, depending on what projects that we're gonna be doing that year.
Mark, was there a question in the back?
I think you answered it through these other comments, thank you.
Right. Anything else?
So we might have enough, I'm sorry, Marshall Holbert. We might, I mean, if you took I don't know all the math, but if it's 400 and we got 250 here, we got 150 here, am I missing the math on 400 or 500 grand? And we wouldn't have to take out a bunch, or am I off base with that high level view?
The 400 or 500 to build doesn't include the 207 to engineer it.
Right.
The 207 to engineer it kind of empties out what we have in the bucket now, for Moose Mountain specifically.
Yes, it does, just about, yeah.
So then
I'm
you
with
only have 158,000, which has to cover a lot of things in town, not just Moose Mountain Bridge.
Right. Yeah. I guess the math doesn't work.
So
Sorry.
it doesn't.
Trying to be
work out.
optimistic.
It could offset some things, but it's not going to.
But to Marshall's point, if the town wanted to take that and put it on, the town could do that.
Yeah.
It could be part of the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
Jan?
I know in the past,
Jan?
Jan Ledbetter, Wentworth Road, you've talked about grants and not wanting to be beholden to the state or federal guidelines because they can dictate them, but there's a New Hampshire State Bridge Aid Program, SBA, and a municipal bridge program that offers 80% state or federal funding with a 20% match, local match would be a municipal match. Is that something we'd be willing to consider? I mean, that mean we need a grant manager, a grant writer, all that, but I think there's enough talent in our town to find that.
I'm kind of shooting from the hip here because
Yeah.
I really haven't thought about it too much, but as Richard mentioned earlier, next year we will have to come forward with something for the town, whether it's a bond, whether it's a raise and appropriate through taxation. Now, potentially, we could do something like a grant.
Yeah.
So we're not at that point yet. Once we have a fixed number, a good solid number,
Yeah,
I think we can move in that direction
okay,
to consider it.
great, we should consider that, yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, the next one. Article 19, deposit to the property property reevaluation expendable fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,000 to be added to the property reevaluation common expendable trust fund created by warrant number 10 on 3/12/2002, majority vote required. The state requires reevaluation of the town every 5 years. We just did ours in 24?
3-ish?
Yeah. So what we're doing is putting away $9,000, or $9,000 in anticipation of that 5th year. So when we get to the 5th year, again, we'll have a solid number to know what the reevaluation is going to cost us, but we will have had $36,000 tucked away to pay for that. And I think the last one was just under 50?
Maybe lower than that, about 30.
30, okay. So if things go well, we won't have to raise any more money through taxation, but we don't know that until we get there. Okay, what we're going to do, again, as in the last article, we're going to propose a change to say if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $9,000 to be deposited versus to be added to the property reevaluation common expendable fund created warrant article 10 on 3/12, majority vote required. So again, we're just changing the word added to deposited. Any questions? All right, brings us to the final article. It's the operating budget. And what we posted, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,777,432 for general municipal operations. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual warrant articles addressed separately. The majority vote required. Okay, now that we have our budget approved, we're going to modify that number. I got 1,581,000. That number, it'll read, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,581,282 for general municipal operations. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual warrant articles addressed separately. Majority vote required. So that is a result of going through the budget we just went through. Are there any questions?
Mark Lofgren, Wentworth Road. So, to make sure I understand, this means that the last sentence in this says it does not include appropriations contained in special or individual warrant articles addressed separately. So those are the ones we just went through, is that right?
That is correct.
Wherever it said we're going to be depositing something into a trust fund is not included in them.
That's correct.
And so how does that all roll up into total budget and tax
You want to take that
rates
one?
and things?
Well, the special warrant articles are total $286,000, so you would add that to the $1,581,000. So the total appropriations will be $1,867,282. Offset that with our revenue of $564,000. So the amount to be raised by taxes will be $1,302,731.
Assuming all warrants are passed
Right,
as presented.
assuming,
And that's on page, that will be on page 10
but then,
of that, it will be on that page 10 of 636. It nets it out nicely
yeah.
to try to keep
But
that
yours
clear.
is, you probably have the older one before we did the changes. Yeah.
Right, so right now it says 0,
Yeah,
but that would fill in, on page 10, that would be special warrant articles.
yes.
And those numbers will be updated for town meeting.
Okay,
So you can see exactly what has to be raised by taxes.
yeah, thank you.
But that's, Marshall, what is the school tax going to be? Because this is only part of the problem or challenge or expenditure.
That's discussed at the school district meeting. I don't have those numbers in front of me. That's a completely separate entity from what we do as a.
Understood, but in terms of taxes,
They
that's half the equation,
they are a separate political entity.
right?
They have meetings, they have public hearings, they are voting on it, and I think their meetings are the end of this month, where they have a similar public session to go over their budget. It's gonna be on Saturday over in Wolfboro.
I think I have.
And there's copies, I believe it was, were on the table of their proposed budget that they're gonna take to their budget hearing.
And they operate on a fiscal year, sorry. Mitch.
Go ahead, that's all right.
They operate on a fiscal year, we're on a calendar year, so it gets a little tricky with the funding.
Their fiscal year starts July 1st and ends June 30th.
But the county does the same thing, so in your tax bill, you have municipal, school, state school, and county. Each one of those are political entities that have their own process. We just collect the money for them.
What we can control and modify is the operating budget we just went over here. Jane, you had a question?
Yeah, Jan Ledbetter, Wentworth Road, just a quick question. I noticed, like, for the last 5 years, we average about collecting taxes about 94–95%. I think everything was due December 30th. Do you know how we've done so far?
I think we'll know at our meeting tonight when the tax collector gives her report.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
Craig Evans, Mountain Road. Do we have an accurate number of the number of students that
No.
go from Brookfield?
No, I've asked for that. They told me that they would give it to me after the first of the year. I haven't seen it yet.
Because we should have that before any meetings, any budget meetings, if people want to go to it and talk about it.
Well,
Good.
Thursday night,
They're coming here.
Yeah.
the chairman of the school board's coming here, that would be an excellent question for when are we going to get that number? We're looking for it.
Comeau?
At Comeau Stone Road, who's going to verify those students? Verify that they are students from this town? Is there a process of students?
We circulate the list through different agents in the town, working for the town, and ask that question. And last year we got feedback from them. We met with the Wolfboro grader, Governor Wentworth's Regional School District to talk about it. And they described their due diligence process to validate that. And they have told us that they've made some changes. We don't know exactly what they are. When we get the list for this year, we can compare it. We still won't know if it was a result of the due diligence or if people just left the town.
Steve Patrick on Wentworth Road. The state education website as of the end of October said we had 78 students in town.
The numbers we've seen have been in that range, 82, 70.
We haven't seen the final numbers yet.
That's right. And we get a roster of every name, so we don't challenge, we review every name. and make sure they're indeed residents.
Who does? Who does that?
We, the board, do. We can circulate it through different personnel.
We advertise it broadly, town clerk, anybody that wants to look at it, looks at it. We share it, because we don't know what students we have in town, we're a different generation. But if we share it with people that are a younger generation, and say, yep, these people go to school, they live in town, so we share it with everyone that we can share it with.
That's the process? I thought we had a problem years ago where we were paying for students that weren't from the town.
Oh, so then we get that list back, marked up. We write a letter to the school board saying, we challenge these students as being residents of Brookfield.
Okay, but who's assigned that task? You said so many different people. Who really has the task?
I mean, who do we assign to review the list? Is that what?
Yes, who is verifying the list and signing off that it's correct?
Gotta be the selectmen.
It's going to be, or
It is the selectmen. We draft a letter.
Okay.
We can't sign off and say that it's correct. We can challenge them and ask them to reevaluate whether or not that person is. But the decision on where that student is from is the school board's decision, not the town's decision.
Thank you.
They will ask the student for justification or proof that they do indeed live in Brookfield.
Ed Ingles, Pink and White. So just to be clear, you get a list from the school district, and Billy Bob is on the list. And then he decides to go homeschool next year, and he's still on the list. What happens?
If he's not, if we think that he's no longer going to that school, we'll challenge the school district, and we will say, we think he's being homeschooled or whatever. They'll review their process. They have a process to validate where you're from. And if he's not, he'll come off the list. However, they solidify the list at the end of September, 1st of October for the following year. So this year, in October of '25, the list that they came up with are the kids that are in school today, but the number will be the basis for the 2027 budget proposal.
So there's a year lag on what you're paying for.
Is the Ossipee charter school, I think it's called North Star, I'm not sure of the name, but are they part of the equation, or part of the census, I should say, when in determining residents for this area?
Ossipee is in the GovernmentOversite school district, and whether or not that's
I think
specific.
the charter school is independent of the school district, isn't it? I'm just not sure.
I don't know
For tax
that.
purposes, whether we have to.
I don't know that. You're saying you think they are, Joanna?
Yeah, they're not, they're independent, I believe, yeah.
So they wouldn't be included in that census?
No, they shouldn't be.
No, and we used to have quite a group of homeschoolers in town, and they were never included on the list. We used to have 10 homeschoolers.
Okay, any other questions?
Could you announce the planning board hearing and those warrant articles, just so the public can hear that?
Yep. Ed, you want to expound on that?
Next Monday, there's a public hearing for the planning board warrant articles, most of which are related to changes made at the state level and to make our zoning consistent with that. There's one that relates to signs that's not part of the state stuff.
And when's the next meeting, the time?
Next Monday, 6 o'clock.
Which is January 12th.
12th.
Okay, anything else? Okay, this concludes the public hearing on the budget and the warrants. And I will make a motion that the board approve the modified MS 636 with a total bottom line of $1,302,731, which takes into consideration all the changes that we just reviewed and discussed. The motion's on the table,
I'll second it.
made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'll make another motion that we approve the proposed warrant articles as amended and discussed at the public hearing.
We recommend.
And that we would recommend, selectmen approval on those warrants. The motion's on the table
I'll second.
and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So we will then get that information to Karen, I guess, and she's going to work on developing the actual warrant. That's the next step. Okay, let's continue on with the regular meeting. We have...
So what happens now? At town meeting, we're gonna go over the budget again and the warrant articles. And amendments could be made from the floor to change any number or change any warrant article. This is just what we're gonna see, you're gonna see in the town report and what you're gonna see at town meeting, but it's not finalized until the end of the town meeting.
Okay. Okay, we have a set of meeting minutes from December 30th that were presented to us earlier. I have reviewed them. I don't have any changes to what was given to us. You guys have anything? Nope. Rich?
I'm good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are you going to re-vote or just leave the manifest vote the way it didn't happen?
What
I don't
he's-
think you have to, I don't think you have to do it.
Yeah, what he's referring to is at the last meeting on the 30th, we went through the manifest at the end of the meeting like we typically do, and we signed off on the manifest, but we actually never made a motion to approve the manifest. But given that we all agreed to sign it, that is in fact approval. I don't think it's necessary that we do that. It's after the fact, it's done. We approved what was on the manifest. We'll do better going forward, like tonight. We won't make that same mistake. Okay, meeting minutes from December 30th. Motion's been made to approve. With no other discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, there's a gentleman has come forward, asked if he could use his skid steer, bobcat, whatever you want to call it, to collect from the salt shed and disperse along Cape Road.
Kate's Lane, yeah.
Kate's Lane?
Yep, takes care of the majority of the driveways there.
Yeah, it's not necessarily for the road, but it's mostly for the driveways.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
It's not necessarily for the road, but mostly for the driveways.
It's for the residents along the road,
Yeah,
not for the road itself.
so we had, David Gonadaro again. There's 15 like houses on the road. There's 3 full-time, and then a number of folks come up in the wintertime on weekends or for snowmobiling or recreation. And so currently, in order to get sand, under the new rules, and I'll say they're new rules because I've been getting sand with a bucket at the town barn for 25 years, and never had an issue with it. And I haven't had an issue yet, but I just know that you guys were recently talking about it, so I'm just trying to clarify it. In order to bring sand down to my own house or my neighbor's houses, we have to fill up a number of buckets. And I had back surgery this year. Everyone's getting older, it's just harder to fill up buckets. So what I'm asking is that instead of us filling up, 51 buckets of sand every time there's a storm and bringing them down to the driveways on the road, I just assume scoop it with a skid steer. The skid steer, to give you an idea of how much sand we use on the properties, last year, the skid steer bucket holds, it's about 4/10 of a yard per scoop. Last year we used 6 scoops on the driveways on Kate's Lane. This year, we've used 3 because we just had a really icy
I think you're saying 6 for the entire season,
entire season.
and you've used 3 so far.
So that was, so you figure last year, that was about 2 yards of sand and salt. This year, we've used probably a yard thus far. So the issue is just sort of a back saver. It's efficient because we all use the same, like, we all sort of work together on the road.
And again, it's private driveways only, it's not for Kate's Lane.
Correct.
Okay, so that was what I had a concern with, is that we're using public sand on a private road. You know, my initial reaction was, you can't do that. You know, that would not be a good idea. But the residents there are paying you to...
They don't pay for sand, they pay for my time when I do the
Right.
driveways, but they're not paying for the sand, so no charge because it's their sand.
What are your comments?
As long as it's helping out, you know, actually going towards the residents in their driveways, I wouldn't really see an issue with it versus having to go fill a bunch of buckets, throw them in the bed of your truck, but.
And the policy in town is that every resident has the right to go in and get 3 buckets of sand per storm. And I guess we have to trust you to know that how much your skid steer holds in relation to the number of homes that are down there, right? And you've been doing it for how long?
25 years.
25 years. Rich, you're gonna...
I gotta recuse, I live on Case Lake. No comment. No comment from here.
So I guess you and I are gonna make a decision. If it's being used on driveways, the visual is a little bit odd to see, you know, a private skid steer going in and scooping up a bucket of sand and running away. He's not stealing it, he's using it for residents in town. So, given that, and given that you've been doing it for as long as you have been, I don't really have a problem with it.
I don't either.
All right, so if you want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion, we allow Dave to use the skid steer to get sand to provide for the residents of Kate's Lane.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're all set. Don't abuse it. Okay. Next, we have committee reports. Where do we want to start? I see Jan right over there. Can you go first, Jan?
Sure. 2 quick updates on the website. Leah and I met today to look at the status of where the website stands. I did afterwards a conference call with Civics Plus. The developers are still, they've transferred all the data over. It's not live yet, obviously we're still working from the old website. The developers are working on those, some of the design issues and the icons. Leah and I have broken up departments and commissions, and we're going through to look for things like accuracy and what needs to be changed and incorrect email addresses, that kind of thing. So we are also making a list of those edits. We can do them ourselves. We're not as confident yet because we haven't been doing it. So Civics Plus is willing to do that. And while I talked on the phone and went through a lot of that, the program manager made a lot of those edits this afternoon, so that was good. I still think we're looking at early February, so that gives us time to really make sure. One of the things that's the holdup, and I don't think we go into detail today, we should talk about this in 2026, but the way the town and all the committees and commissions, the way the standards we have or lack of standards when we create a document makes it really hard to organize the data on the website. So some people have a PDF that starts with 2026 and the date, and then it's planning board. But someone else says, you know, Conservation Commission and the dates at the very end. So that makes finding the data and organize it in a way that people can really find it useful difficult. So one recommendation is we look at maybe with the staff, we look at the way we save documents. That's all I'll say on that for right now. And the last thing is, just on the library, this is a time to be thinking about tax prep, and I'll post it here and leave it here, but you can get free tax prep from the library, and if you call the number, you can arrange your appointment. It's February through April, and it's every Tuesday, and they work from 9 to 5, so that's a great resource for anyone who's looking for help with their taxes. Next Friday, January 16th, from 9 to 1, TRICAP will also be at the library for anyone who needs help with fuel assistance, transportation, housing, a free diaper program, free winter clothing, and a lot of other resources. And then for anyone in the winter who likes puzzles, there's a big puzzle swap again. So there's lots of other programs, but I wanted to call those three out. And that's it.
Rose, yes, snuck out of your
Snuck
room.
in.
You got a report on the?
Yeah. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of paper each. And then I will go back and look at my notes that I can not have to do it from memory. So the first sheet there is the total collections for 2025. We are currently, there are still owings of $322,395.18. The caveat I want to put on that is because our tax due date was so late in the year, I had to stop collecting taxes last week. And I have received payments in the meantime. So those will be processed tomorrow. I've just closed my books, sent all of my information to DRA, so they have all the latest information. So this number is going to be a lot lower tomorrow, just because I have still payments to make, or process.
Do you have a ballpark? Not gonna hold you to it, just.
Don't open the envelopes, I don't even take them from the post office.
Okay.
The second thing is, about a month ago, I told you about a deeded property that somebody has contacted the town asking for a payoff number. We know that it's not the property owner's heir, so we needed to do some research on that. I asked you guys to do that about a month ago. He has contacted the town again. I haven't called him back yet, but he wants to know what the update is. The piece of paper that I just gave you, the second piece there, is an analysis of what would have to be paid, assuming that we're talking about an heir, to redeem the property as of July 1st. I had to pick a date. But we do need to get back to this fellow.
Okay, I'll take the action to go over this with a little more time and information, and I will contact the gentleman and let him know.
We have some other work to do, right? We're not going to just sell it back to an individual that says, I'm an heir. That's not the way it works.
He's not even saying he's an heir, he's saying he's talked to the heirs.
So it could be anybody coming from any place saying, I'm an heir, I want to buy the lot.
Yeah.
So we got to do some research first before we say this is the number.
Yep.
I would think.
Yeah, you're right. With the way AI is working and
That's right.
various different scams going on in
That's
the
right.
world, you don't know.
Can it only be sold to the heir?
Heir gets first shot.
Bottom line, yeah, heir gets first shot.
And
The
then if-
process is that a letter gets issued to the heirs saying, we're considering selling this property. We're giving you 30 days, I think the number's 30 days. We're giving you a period of time before we sell this property to say that you want it. And the email we got basically says, I've been talking to the heirs and we want to know what that number is to pay off. He never said that the heir would be buying it though.
And if it doesn't go to the heir, we put it out for bid. If we want to sell it.
Right.
How long have we had it?
It was deeded in May of '23.
It's a wood lot up on Tumbledown Deck down in the Pleasant Valley end.
All right, so,
Was the email from Nigeria?
Didn't look like it.
Never know.
all right, so I'll get into some more research on this and come back to the board.
Yeah, I gave you 2 RSAs last time to understand what the process is supposed to be.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
I'll make a comment. So on the hand, you gave us a handout that said you collected, or were supposed to collect, about $3 million. That's because you collect money for the school board and the county,
That's right.
so.
And it's all taxes owed back through, I think the oldest one is '23.
Oh, it's not just current year.
It's not just current year, it's all taxes owed. And the number reflects what I've collected for those older years also, which wasn't much.
So the 332 balance due includes past year taxes.
Yes, that was my point, yes.
And somebody asked a question earlier, is that information, is that what the,
Yeah,
you were
I was
asking?
just asking what the percentage, basically.
Yeah, I won't know yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
Okay, moving on, Craig, you want to speak for archivist or?
Just one clarification. For RSA, we have an agricultural commission, correct?
Correct.
And that's how they've been sworn in as to the agricultural commission. So we just need them to use that term on their letterhead, on their minutes, because they're calling it agricultural committee.
Okay.
It's small, but just to keep it clean.
Okay, thank you. Who else have we got back there? Bertie?
Yeah, I'll say.
Frank?
Just that we have a conservation meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Thank you. Karen, I see you way up in the back. Anything for town clerk?
We have dump stickers available. The current ones expire at the end of this month, so stop in and get your dump stickers, or they're available in the office from the other staff if the town clerk's office isn't open, or you can order them online. Dog licenses need to be renewed by April 30th, and you can come in early, and we'll try to remind you when you do your vehicles. And we did just get boat decals, so we can also register boats. And the declarations for office will start, the filing period is January 21st to the 30th. I'll be open at 5 o'clock on the 30th for people, just encouraging people to consider serving our community. A lot of different vacancies, or a lot of different offices will be available, so that notice will come out this week for specifically what offices are open for people to run for election.
All right. You good? Meg, you got anything for the trust fund committee?
Nothing.
Ed?
Just the planning board next Monday.
Chris?
No, I'll sign.
You good? No, Leah?
I'm still working on the locksmith, but otherwise,
Okay.
nothing.
All right, Rich, you got anything?
Nothing.
You got a couple of those down here. Okay, just a reminder to you guys, I did send a draft of the selectmen's report for the town report. So if you have any comments or feedback on it, please get back to me. Kate sent out an email saying she was asking for input from all the departments by the end of January, 29th or
27th, I think, was our deadline.
27th. Okay, thank you.
I'll comment on that. There's not much time after that to get that to the printer, so
Yeah.
a lot of times we were soft on the dates. It's got to go to the printer because we need it back for town meeting. So,
Okay, also, we got a thank you letter. I'm sorry, we sent a thank you letter to the Wolfboro Board of Selectmen for their beach pass process. It worked well for us. We had several people interested, used it, and we're asking them to authorize it again for the 2026 season. So we'll report back on that. Those are the only two things that I had.
What's the status on the two lawsuits that the town has? Have they both been dismissed or settled, or the Moose Mountain Wreck against the town and the landowner on the...
Yeah. Has the 60 days gone by yet?
I think so.
Okay. On the Moose Mountain issues, he withdrew his complaint pending some issues that we took care of. And he had 60 days from that point to challenge again if he so chooses. And as far as I know, he has not made that challenge. If it's beyond the 60 days, then that's a dead issue. And as far as the other land issue, that was resolved by the zoning board, authorized him to keep his cabin there, and I don't think there's any other litigation involved in that, so that's a dead issue. Anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, at Comeau Stone Road, do we know how much money was expended with those legal challenges?
We could look it up. I don't have it in my
I mean,
back
roundabout,
pocket.
is it 20, 30,
I think
15? What is it?
I think we were 5,000 over on, maybe it,
They were expensive. That's why we put the budget up. We spent,
hold on.
So we spent the entire budget in the legal line, plus more.
it was a lot of money.
What was originally in the legal line?
I'm gonna tell you.
Oh.
Hold on. Okay, we budgeted 20,000 and we've spent 25, about 25.
And that's on both of those cases, combined.
And some miscellaneous work for the planning board and selectmen. Like when we asked the attorney to look at warrant articles, that's in there, but the bulk of it was the lawsuits.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Just remind everybody that the school board chair will be here on Thursday.
That's correct.
At 6 o'clock.
Thursday the 8th at 6 o'clock. We're going to have another meeting for public discussion regarding the Governor Wentworth Regional School District to talk about the issues that they have with the loss of their insurance coverage and the effect that that had, and any other general questions.
Have we heard whether our elected rep is going to also attend?
The last time I spoke with him, he had a family health issue, and he said he didn't think he would be able to make it. I will touch bases again before Thursday and see what his status is.
You've mentioned the town meeting a couple of times. Just to remind people, it's Saturday, March 14th from 10 to 12 roughly?
No, it was 10, I think is what we said, wasn't it? 10 o'clock?
Yeah,
10 to
10
12,
a.m.
she said.
10 to
Okay.
12, yeah.
And then voting is on the Tuesday before, which
Yeah,
is
the 10th,
the 10th, and that starts
1 o'clock.
at 1 and goes until 6 or 7?
Yes, 1 to 6.
Okay, 1 to 6. Okay.
Marshall Goldberg, just a quick math question again. We've collected 3 million in taxes in round numbers. So we're gonna spend, what, $1.5 million on the operating budget? Is that right? We just, right? So, but we don't know what the school is.
Well, we have the school figures through June, the end of June.
Oh, so it's gonna be half of whatever? I just was wondering, beyond if anything's beyond $3 million, we got a problem, right?
I don't understand. Ask it differently, Marshall?
We have $3 million to spend.
No, we had $3 million we would collect.
I'm sorry, we collected, correct, right? We just approved $1.5 million
Yep.
for round numbers,
Yep.
right, for the operating budget.
Yep.
Right? And then we're gonna have the school budget, which is unknown, correct? We don't know
Well,
what it's gonna be.
Well, they've got a proposal out there. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, so I assume that what we're gonna have to pay is $1.5 million, because we We only have 3 million to spend.
Oh, we can tell you that number. Because remember, the year shifted, so it's off by 6 months, so we know how much we have to pay them.
Through June 30.
June.
Okay.
And that
What we
number
don't
is,
know is from July 1st to the end
I
of,
thought I
we
did give you
do,
one.
we can't read it, we can,
It's, I don't know if I have it right here. I gave it to you.
I gave it away.
Oh, James, you have the Governor Wentworth.
I can't read the bottom
Oh,
line.
Okay.
You know what, I left it at home. Yeah, because that's Thursday.
Yeah, let me.
Is that the budget that's on the table right
Anyway,
there?
that's my question. I just want to make sure
Oh,
I'm
right
understanding the math properly.
I don't know if she wanted to break down.
And that number is subject to change if the public hearings. They might show up at the hearing with a different number going on.
The question.
well, they're looking, Gus?
Yeah, when they when they give us a figure for what they charge us for the school, it's based on per pupil, correct? Or is there monies above and beyond?
I'm sorry, I didn't, can you ask again?
Gus, it's an apportionment that we pay. That's the 75-25 apportionment.
They're gonna spend 60.
75% is based on the number of students that attend. 25% is based on a formula that involves land value, assessed
The
value.
equalization rate, basically.
That's what I went down to Concord to change, and it was fought tooth and nail, and it was completely. You can ask them that on Thursday.
Yeah.
So your property-rich towns like Tuftonboro and Wolfboro, their school tax rate is much less than the Brookfield rate, because they have a lot of waterfront property. It's very valuable over there. And that's what Ed was dealing with. We tried to get that changed.
We also tried to get a budget committee in, and that didn't work.
It's very, very interesting. All the political entities except regional school districts operate differently. Regional school districts can have this algorithm that uses property values and student populations to generate a bill. The county, another political entity, does it just like the town. You look at the value of the property, period, and you just allocate your taxes. School districts are different. Only political difference in the state, and we couldn't get it changed. It was killed, never came out of committee.
Those ITLs, they all voted against it.
Yeah.
Because everybody behind me was from the unions and the other people that didn't want it.
Joanne, you got an answer for Mark?
Well, I have that through June, we will pay them $1,039,428, just to Governor Wentworth. And interesting, so Effingham is going to pay $5 million.
Ospey.
New Durham is paying $8 million. And Ospey is paying $15 million.
15 million.
Tuftonboro, $8 million. And Wolfboro, $21 million, for a grand total of $61 million. for the whole district. It's a lot of millions.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Comeau?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, you mentioned the selectmen mentioned an algorithm being used to calculate. The county taxes are done with an algorithm also. Years ago, what I did is I tried to get the state to tell us who certifies that algorithm. I mean, it's a program. And the delegation couldn't get an answer out of the state at all. So we refused to pay the full amount. Well, that really...
Who's we?
The delegation. So we all voted to only give them $200, $200,000 of the, I think back then it was $4 million that they wanted. Well, they sent somebody right away, and they tried to explain how it's really done. And I'm still confused about who verifies it, how it's done. So with this fraud going on at the feds, now I'm like, Medicaid's involved with that, so now I don't even know what's going on with that. Now, if the school, I didn't know the school was using an algorithm. Where did you get that from?
Well, they use it based upon property value and students. That's an
Well,
algorithm.
that's not an algorithm, where they use a program to calculate it.
Okay.
But if they do that, I would love to know who validates that program.
Thursday night.
Holy God, please go.
That is the list of questions.
It's 2/3 of our tax bill.
Yes.
I mean, Ossipee, I remember 2 years ago, was 9 million. 9 million. And now you're telling me it's $15 million?
That's what it says.
This is unsustainable. I hope everybody knows that.
This is the current year, the proposed budget, I think is up another 5%.
And that's where the $6.25 is coming from? How much does that amount, the $6.25? What does that add up to for our bill? On the tax bill, it says school,
Yeah.
total is $675. How much is
I don't know
that?
if
We didn't calculate
I
it.
don't know if I can tell.
I mean, is it 4 million, 3 million? I don't know what
I don't know.
Can't tell. I can't tell from here.
It's 692.
It's 692? Oh, I thought it was 695. That must have been 3 years ago.
Okay, anything else? All right, let's move into the manifest for then.
Between the two properties. I have two small. We have Eastern.
So we can go. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna wait.
The meeting is still going on.
That he wrote a new one and he published it.
So you need to be quiet.
Hey, Frank.
Leave or sit down.
Frank.
Or be quiet. That's as simple as that. Then be quiet. Simple as that. No, I'm acting as person and continue the meeting so we can get out of here. I know I should be there. No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay, we're ready to move forward?
Eastern Minerals, $2,915.48.
Yep.
State of New Hampshire Department of Corrections, this was the McGinley Road sign, $101.15.
Yep.
That concludes that manifest. Austin, could you just read the total?
$3,016.63.
Got it? Thank you. Consolidated Communications.
And what is this? This is this?
These are 2025.
Okay.
These are all this time. Consolidated Communication, $143.34.
Yep.
Gov Connection, $253.80.
Yep.
We have Joanna Herrick, who is getting a refund on her taxes of $250 because she overpaid.
Yep.
Okay. Town Clerk, $10.04 for postage. Margaret Francini, $250 for overpayment of taxes.
Yep.
Morton Salt, $2,774.60.
Yep.
Morton Salt again, $2,673.13.
Yep.
We voided, I have a void in there, did I write that on there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, White Mountain Oil and Propane, $383.20. Oh, and I didn't deduct that voided one from the total.
So we subtract $49.
Sorry.
So I have a total of $6,787.11. Subtract $49 from that.
For a void check.
Come on. What's the number?
I don't know. Everyone got calculators in their pockets.
What are Morton Salt terms, just out of curiosity?
$6,738.11.
Thank you.
Road salt.
I don't know what the road salt, what the terms are, maybe Chris could, you mean like?
No, on the invoice that you pay, it always says no, the term.
The
Like,
term.
did you have 60 days to pay it, 90?
I was
just curious.
I always pay it as soon as as close to the date I receive it. Yeah, we don't hold on to.
Got it.
What was that final number?
$6,738.11.
the motion, Emily?
We did make a motion.
Oh, I will make a motion that we approve the manifest as read, both manifests.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Was that a yes or?
Aye.
Oh, well, not tonight, I'm not ready. Meeting minutes are in full set.
This one average.
Okay.
This one, did you get a minute back?
Oh, yes.
Those three as well.
I signed that one. I signed that one.
Oh, it's me.
Somebody.
So the meeting next Tuesday, we have a plan to work, right? Is there a selectmen's meeting? Or
No.
no reason to? Okay.
The next meeting is in 2 weeks. All right, let's shoot it straight in.
So are we resuming our just normal schedule from now on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other than Thursday.
Other than Thursday.
Okay. Any other business? Any questions? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
7:56.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for coming and for participating. I appreciate it.